My first question, though, is, I know I asked you before class, before you knew who I was, if you liked English, but tell me a little bit more about what you, should we start with like or what you don't like about it?
Let's start with don't like, that way we end on a happy note.
Good idea. What do you not like about English?
I don't understand.
Yeah. Like everything like how to write, or like
I
what
suck
makes
at
it
grammar and punctuation. A good topic, no problem. But when it comes to all those picky things, no.
How many of you agree that punctuation and grammar is a problem? Okay.
I'm the opposite. Like
Yeah.
I have a hard time picking a topic.
Yeah, and getting started in the first place?
Yeah.
Common problem, which we will fix tonight, by the way.
Perfect.
So, what else do I like?
For me, I have a hard time that it feels so subjective. With math, there's a formula, you plug it in, you get the answer, it's very clear cut. With this, it's so up in the air and fuzzy.
So many choices, which one to
Yeah.
write, all that. Well, that's true to a large degree, but it's also true that there are rules and formulas more than you do, and you'll learn that soon, and I think you'll feel a lot more comfortable with it. There are always choices, but by the end of this class, you'll know why you made this choice and what effect it's going to have. So it seems a little more like science. Yeah.
Generally, I love English. I love everything about English. I love writing, I love reading, I love the formulas you've mentioned. I've taken classes that went into those in depth. What I don't like is that I've experienced with different English teachers, different preferences, and you have to pander to them. And it's, I mean, you always write for an audience, but sometimes what they've taught doesn't necessarily line up with what they believe, and it comes out in their grading, and that frustrates me as a writer.
Yeah. Well put. Who identifies with that expression? Do you all know why some teachers tell you to write one way and other teachers tell you to write another way?
Probably the way they were taught to.
Yeah, that's one of the big things, yeah. And they're different. Let me draw you a little
Schools of
diagram to just show you one of the reasons why this happens. This is something we'll refer back to probably from time to time. This is the writing spectrum, and anything you write is somewhere along this spectrum. So if this is a poem here, and this is a letter to your mom here, and this is a formal research paper here, do you know what the two ends of the spectrum are? This is graffiti. You know what the spectrum is about?
A will?
Dear Mom, you're the best. I can't make a poem that fast, sorry, tonight. Any other guesses?
Academics versus personalization.
That's true of this, but there's something else that's
Formal.
underlying that.
Formal versus informal?
Yes, okay. And so the formal end over here can also be called closed form or formal. And closed form simply means that there are rules. You have to follow these conventions. Do it the way we said, that's closed form. And over on this end, of course, on the casual end, is open form, where you get your teachers from the 60s going, whatever makes you feel good, you should do that. You can do anything you want there. And so a lot of times, a lot of teachers will teach you the closed form, the formal end, to teach, and that's what a lot of people consider to be academic writing for school. And in a lot of academics, that's definitely true, but it depends how narrowly you define academic. Like, if it's just the formal objective, professional journal submissions, then it'll probably be pretty formal. And if you don't format things right, if you don't get your spacing right and you send it into this journal, a lot of the editors are like really anal retentive, and it's like fingernails on a chalkboard, and they'll just throw it away and won't even read your submission. Some people take that seriously. But a lot of academic writing also can be more casual. And in this class, I'm going to give you the option to go anywhere in this range, and later tonight I'll tell you how to make your decision about what style you want to write your paper. Okay? Probably, just doing a bunch of graffiti is not going to cut it. 10 pages of graffiti, but more formal can work. So that's one reason why different teachers disagree. There are other reasons for that. All right, what else is there to not love about English?
It's hard for me sometimes, like I have the ideas and what I wanna say, but it's hard to put it on paper. Like,
Yeah.
If I start writing down, I'll just come up like with one paragraph or two, or the paper needs to be like 5 pages. And I'm like,
Right.
what am I gonna do now? So it's just hard to kind of like build on it.
Right, because you always already get to a point, and how do you continue, and whatever. I'm going to solve that problem tonight with one of the most useful things I'll give you all semester. I'll have about 5 of those, by the way. But one of them I'll introduce tonight, and it solves that problem and many other ones. Anything else? Yeah.
Sometimes I have too much, and then you look at the paper and say, this is Jenga. Like, how do I get it all organized?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How do you pull stuff out without it all collapsing in on itself?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you'll read through it and
Good
points will make
metaphor.
sense, but the flow or, you know what I mean, getting it all organized, yes.
Right. Okay, and the same thing I was going to tell him, what's your name?
Emmanuel?
Emmanuel will solve that problem in a different way. So, good. What else is there? Is that all? How about it takes time?
Yeah.
You know, you can crank out a paper at the last minute, but it might not be that good. And for this class where I'm asking for specific things, you can't do that. It's impossible. So please start early. In fact, that's so important, I'm going to write it here. That's one of the bad news is I can't entirely take away that writing and doing a good job and researching, it takes time. Sorry. But I will give you 3 processes that will cut down tremendously, immensely on how much time it does take and have a lot of other benefits. So I'll tell you. Any other to not like? Okay, what do you like about writing then?
Sometimes I can get emotions out. You know, sometimes writing you can relieve stress, or you can show excitement, or you can, you know, take someone through a situation. You know,
Yeah.
you can get people involved in this.
What's your name?
Chelsea.
So you kind of said 2 things, right? One thing is like get it out, but then you also said walk people through and make them experience or understand something, right? And that's kind of fun to do, isn't it? To you write it down and you imagine them interacting and having these reactions, and suddenly it's not just a piece of busy work you do that your professor will read and give you a B and no one else, that's all it will ever do. Suddenly it's like this living thing that matters in the world, right? So we will be incorporating that into this class, by the way, to make it more enjoyable and other benefits we'll tell you soon. Anything else to like?
No, I agree with her about getting all the emotions out.
Yeah.
It's the best way.
Yeah, good. By the way, it turns out there are like 5, if you want this tangent or not. I go on lots of tangents, but they're usually interesting. So, usually. There are 5 reasons why you write things. Like I told you, all writing fits on somewhere on the spectrum. Well, there are also these 5 different reasons why you can sit down and write and do anything. And the one I usually put 5th is kind of what you just said, is just to vent, just to let it out. Nobody has to understand it, just makes you feel better, right? The next one above that is for you just to think through things, just process it, you know? One of the ways when you're starting a paper, if you can't really get any emotion, just any momentum, you just start writing and writing and writing, and don't even worry about if it's good. It's called free writing, right? Have you heard of that? Peter Elbow invented it in like 1971. And it helps kind of lubricate your mental gears and get some ideas flowing, and then you just start over, but you already have some ideas to work with, so it helps. So anyway, processing is good. The other one, tell me, I'm sure you can guess some of the other ones. What are some of the main reasons you usually write things? What? Express, yeah. And express might be the same as vent, I'm not sure. It's not necessarily, but I might end up with 6. Anyway, what else?
For knowledge, to
Communication.
Yeah, and to give knowledge, right? To inform.
Educate.
Right. I can write inform because it's shorter. And what else? Right, persuade. To motivate someone, right? I kind of break persuasion into 2 things. One is to convince them mentally, and one is to motivate them to action. but they can fit together. Anyway, so these are the 5, and I think, I've thought about this, and I think every time you write, it has to do with one of, oh, I just realized there's another one. And this is probably the most common one. Get a grade, just get it over with, right? So now I have to go back and revise my textbook. All right. Anyway, so there's that. Anything else to like about English?
For me, it seems to level the playing field. People may speak differently, but
Yeah.
when they write, somehow it always seems to like not have as big of a gap.
Because you
in-
can take the time
in forms
to
of communication.
revise.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
take time to revise and stuff. And so, I don't know, for me, I'm someone who is constantly intellectually progressing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I kind of overshoot in the way I talk and people
Yeah.
kind of miss my intent, but when I'm writing, it's easier for them to reread it, understand it, process it, and then go, oh, that's what you meant,
Right.
but not what I heard when you were speaking.
Because their ears can't keep up with your mouth, which can't keep up with your brain.
Exactly.
Right? Too
Yeah.
much. Speech is really kind of slow, something like that, yeah. Well put. Anything else to like? All right, last question I want to ask on this then is, how good of writers are you? I know that's a really hard.
It's
I
all
don't know if that's what you
no,
answer.
1 through 5 strongly agree, 5 strongly disagree, also 4.
Yeah. So on enjoying papers, you put some 4s.
Enjoying paper, but
Enjoying other writing. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. I mean, and the rest of you are bad. Just kidding. Once you pass those quizzes forward, I just want to use this. I just want to measure, see how much your attitudes change during this semester, if I can do that. Thanks. All right. Actually, let me ask you to write down a couple of things. I'll tell you why in a minute. First, write down topics you have researched in the past for English classes or whatever.
Goodness.
Does
To
that
turn
be
in or
responsive?
for us?
No, this is for you. You won't have to turn this in. So just notes for yourself. But we'll use it later.
Does it have to be specific to an English class or just for a paper you've written ever?
You know, just how about do this? Give me the topics you've researched in the last few years. Or if you're returning from school and you haven't, go ahead and think back longer.
That's what I tried
Last
doing.
couple years in school, I'll say that. If you finish that, just jot down quick notes, just, you don't have to do full sentences, but just jot down a few things about your past experience with English. Has it been positive or negative? What have you learned? What have you not learned? What do you like, what do you not like? So just past experience. With writing or with research, either way, or both. Jot down what you'd like to get out of this class. Maybe a few of your thoughts on what you want to get from this class.
I haven't gotten there yet.
I probably got. So one of the key things that I want to do is I don't want to be too vague, but I don't want to provide too much information. I want to be straight to the point,
Yeah.
but not leave out any key information out there. That's mostly what I'm struggling with.
So when you write your paper, you want to be able to be concise, but not
Exactly. I don't
shallow. You want some depth and not bore people and stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good. we'll cover that. Chelsea?
Where I work, I need to write a lot of, more closed form letters
Yeah.
to like clients or anything, and I think I just need to have a better understanding of how to kind of create that or use the correct voice or tone, I don't know,
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay.
Just the setup of it.
Like there, and by the way, there's this whole division of writing called business writing, and it teaches you how to do the bad newsletter and the all these different things. But some of the things we'll cover in class specifically will give you more insight to what's going on when you.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, if they had that here in UVU, business writing.
I would expect so, but I don't know. It seemed like it should be a common class. Anything else, goals for this class? Yeah.
I just want to keep learning English and developing my second language, English.
Okay.
That's my goal.
Yeah, good. And what's your name?
Jessica.
Jessica. All right. Any others in the back?
Coherence.
Yeah.
And how everything flows together and unity.
Okay.
That's what I want to work on.
Good. By the way, I like this so far. You're not just saying, I want it to be easy. You're like, you actually want to learn something, so that's encouraging. Fern?
Well, I know that writing takes time, so sometimes when I'm in a hurry, I like to do shortcuts
Yeah.
and get it out there and see, see if I can still get an A or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't always follow the writing steps, and so I want to learn how to do that.
Okay, good. That's actually where we're going in 2 steps way out my schedule. Good. Tell me your name in the back.
Connor.
Connor, right. Who else had their hand up for something to like? Yeah.
I just wrote I'd like to be more confident in my writing,
Yeah.
and I don't know, like be able to write a proposal and not question it or feel confident with
Yeah.
it.
Okay, good. I think we'll definitely give you that. Good. Sorry, tell me your name.
Leah.
Leah, all right. Chelsea.
Kind of actually I said at the beginning, I have good topics, I have good voice in my papers, but I need confidence in
Yeah.
the grammar and the sentence structure, because that just sucks.
Okay.
At least I do.
All right. We won't spend a lot of time on that level of things, but I'll try and do some helpful things for you. Anyway.
I've had several teachers that have you either peer review someone else's paper or review your own paper
Mhm.
and critique it.
Mhm.
I am very confident in my paper, so I will write and think it's brilliant, and then when I get it back and it's
Yeah.
got a C on it or something, I'm very confused. I can't find
Yeah.
the flaws in my own paper. So
So you
I
wanna
would
be able to
like
spot
to be
them
able
better.
to find the flaws in my own
Okay,
paper.
good. Well, one promising thing is there are 2 skills that are the most important, and I'll show you how to spot them if you look for them. And that covers the vast majority of stuff. I mean, people may have opinions, like they wanted you to use a different structure or something, but you'll know what's going on at least.
Me, like-
Sorry, what's your name?
I'm Heather.
Heather, okay.
How to capture someone's attention really well right in the beginning.
Yeah.
Of, like a paper.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll give you some of that. I'll give you a list of different introduction strategies. Name?
Lauren.
Lauren. I'm starting to max out my name memory, but we'll see what we can do. Chelsea?
Okay, sorry, I know I talk a lot. This is not necessarily you, this is class. I know in the past I've had English classes where she's reminded me, where we do peer reviews.
Yeah.
And peer reviews really help me, and I hate it when I have a student who's peer reviewing and they don't care about the class, and so they don't do a good job peer reviewing my
It's
paper.
really
We
good.
could be studying.
Okay, because I'm like, I need someone who tells me actual advice, not, yeah, you had a good voice, you did this, the generic answers. I'd
Yeah.
like people to actually give me feedback, because that will be what helps me in the class.
Okay,
So I guess accountability in the class.
yeah. And there are different ways to try and get that. I'm not sure exactly how, but for the last couple semesters especially, peer reviews have been tremendous. Like people giving really helpful advice. Chapter 10 is not due before our first peer review, but that's a pretty good one for some ideas on peer review. So if you want to read that in advance, go ahead. That's some good ideas. I think like as y'all get to know each other and stuff, I think you'll get comfortable, and hopefully I'll give you clear-cut enough things to look for that you'll be confident in finding and giving those things. So hopefully it'll come out good. But the last thing I'll say is when you go into peer review, when you want people to rip it apart if they find something, scribble that on top of your paper. Please be critical. You can't hurt my feelings. Use dirty some of it. whatever. And that might encourage people to, or write specifically, you know, please help me with organization, whatever you want specifically.
Cool.
All right, I forgot what question we're answering now.
What do you want from this class?
That's right. And anything else you wanted to say about that? Okay, we're gonna do one more brainstorm list, and actually I could use 2 volunteers. Anybody? Okay. Heather, right? And anyone else? Okay, thanks, Jessica. So you can each pick a pen of your choice, and you'll take turns just jotting down answers, whatever the class shouts out. And the question for you, the first question for you, class, is what are the best things in the world? What make life really quality and good? What things are awesome? Yeah.
That's what
I'm addicted too. It's great. Air.
You have something to say.
We're gonna do about 50 of these, so yeah, don't worry if it's not a great idea. We gotta fill the board.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I need one more volunteer to email this list to me.
I can do it.
We'll get somebody to write something
Okay.
down so they
Yeah,
can
I
do
can
this.
write it down.
Thanks. Was that useful?
Yes.
Do you feel better about where you're headed and everything now
Yes.
after doing that? Okay, good. I've got like several more things to cover, but like this is my list for my Friday class, and I only get it once a week. So whatever I don't finish with you, I can finish next time. But there are 2 things I would definitely like to get through. So let me do this one first. This is more immediate for you. In this class, today and Thursday, I'm going to take you at least 3 processes. You know what a process is?
Yeah,
What type
sort
of
of.
process?
Yeah.
Lots of processes.
Right. A process is like a list of steps you go through to
something.
exactly to accomplish something. Yeah. So, for example, what's the mow the lawn after the rain process?
Don't do it.
Don't do it. You wait till it dries out. That's terrible, right? What's the make spaghetti process? Water, let it boil, maybe a little salt or oil if you want. Then, you know, don't cook it more than 10 minutes or whatever. Strain it, rinse it if you want, all that stuff. So we have all these processes we live by. And the 3 processes that I'm going to teach you, they really will help you in this class. They would help you in any writing class, but you guys have half the time to procrastinate that most people do. So in other words, you have no time to procrastinate really. So start early. But these processes will make it much faster for you, especially once you know where you're going. Actually, they'll even help you know where you're going. They will make it so much easier. They suck the stress, so much of the stress out of this job of writing a paper. And they actually make you smarter, which I'll explain later on. So you definitely want to follow these processes. So I've made some videos online that talk this whole thing through, but I wonder if I want to use the video or trying to decide how to use our 45 minutes best. Actually, you know what? These videos are kind of concise and they can get the job done a little bit faster than me talking and everything. So let me show you one of the web pages, the resources we've got for this semester. It's on the University of Life, uoflife.com. And I made a special section just for our classes, uoflife.com/UVU. And that projector should be coming on. You can see it there, but not here yet. And as it comes up, you'll see on the main page when you first go there, take my word for it for the moment. If you scroll down, there's a link under helpful YouTube videos. And the first one I want to show you is the research process. I'm going to show you how to save time researching, how to find stuff you really want, and then I'm going to teach you how to read, the reading process. I know y'all didn't basically know how to read. I'm going to teach you how to read academic articles, save you so much time, and make them so much more interesting, and stuff like that. Because researching, as we said before, it takes a lot of time, and you don't have a lot of time, so if we can slow that down, we will. And what is that projector? Maybe it's just really dim. Maybe it's 200 lumens. No? Oh, I bet I know. In this building, our systems are all a little bit older and don't always behave. While I'm finding out if this will actually work, I'll just start telling you. So the research process, a lot of people, when they go to do their research, they either go straight to Google and see what they come up with, which is probably going to turn out a lot of web pages for you, but probably a lot of them aren't going to be very good. It's going to be blogs and companies selling their little things or whatever. And so that's not really a great way to start. This is not behaving at all. So you can improve a little bit by searching Google Scholar. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
So you go to scholar.google.com, and then it tries to dish out more scholarly articles. But again, it's not the most reliable. It'll get lots that are scholarly and lots that just aren't. So one assignment you've got for next time is you're going to find an article on our library database. So you go to uvu.edu/library, and they made it really easy. It's right from that front page. You can just type in your search mode, your whatever you're looking for, and hit go. But that's not the first step you should take, because if you haven't done the actual first step before you go to databases, you can waste a lot of time there. So what you want to do first is, before you go to the academic journals and everything, look in what's called general reference material. This used to be encyclopedias. What is it now? What's the place where it has all the information, not tons of depth, maybe?
Wikipedia?
Wikipedia. Yep. How many have had teachers who said, don't use Wikipedia? Okay, what they meant was, don't use Wikipedia for all your sources. It makes you look like you're in 7th grade. But everybody, even your teachers, we all use Wikipedia. It's a great general reference. And general reference does a few fantastic things for us. First, you read over the entry, and you get a really good general idea of the general idea. Sorry for that repetition. It's getting late. And it gives you a good overview of the topic, and it might help you decide better what your purpose is, what your research question is, which we haven't talked about yet. And it also helps you with 2 or 3 more things. It can give you the right keywords to search for when you get over to the university database, the library. So, because if you type in the wrong words, and that's not the one all the scholars are using, you might not get results. But if you just use the right words, you might get great results. So maybe you're looking for concussions, but you didn't realize you could call it traumatic brain injury and get other results that didn't come up under concussion, for example. So keywords, that's one thing. That's the second thing the general reference material is good for. Overview of keywords. Number 3, oftentimes it'll tell you the famous researchers and authors who are doing research on that topic. So if you know who the notable people are that are so notable that somebody included them in the Facebook general reference page on it, maybe you can go look them up by author in our library. And third, a lot of times when they make little claims, they're supposed to, give a citation to some academic article in the general reference. So if you read some claim in Wikipedia and that's exactly what you want to write about, and then it has a little footnote, go to that footnote. It just walked you to some article that you can probably use. It's probably academic. Well, it may be academic, and it's just what you want. And guess what happens then? If you find this great academic article you want to use, guess what? It probably has lots of sources that it cites. And so you may have all your sources you need without ever going and doing any more research than starting with Wikipedia. Can be very helpful. Otherwise, once you have your keywords and everything, you go to the library, you type that in, and as the video that you can't see will show you, which I would recommend watching it between classes, is when you do your search, make sure and check two check boxes. One that says peer-reviewed only. Okay, so that will try and get the good journal articles, the good trustworthy academic articles that you need for your paper. But even then, not all of them are academic. It comes up with some that aren't, so you still have to judge. Do you know how to tell the difference between an academic article and something that's not?
I used to.
Yeah? Good. Does anyone still know?
There's something about the type of web page, like the end of it. I'd like to know if it's scholarly.
Yeah, I don't know about the URL, right? The www part. I don't know of anything.
Like or gov, or there's usually, like it will tell you.
Okay, that makes sense. If it's .gov, if it's .edu, it's a school, that does help. Yeah, that does. So it tells you about the source of the information, and that could help. Yeah.
They're works cited, isn't that a sign?
Yeah. If they're citing lots of other academic sources, that's a great sign. I got a list of 10, and they're on this web page, by the way. But any others? Is it in the New York Times?
No.
You don't like the, no, yeah, you're right. It's not. Because those are the reporters interviewing a scientist and writing about it, hopefully getting it right. Some periodicals really do quite a good job. Other ones really do not such a good job. So, does it have cute graphics and nice color? You'd like to see that, I'm sure, but
Some fun bar graphs or something.
yeah, maybe graphs. Good point. Yeah, they're trying to be objective and formal. They're not trying to be cute. That decreases their credibility in those really academic circles. So it's probably a boring layout. The article might have a really long title. It might have multiple authors. Those authors might all be credentialed, PhDs, work at this university or that research lab or something. It might be a really formal, boring writing style. It might be in a professional journal, as you mentioned. So not Ladies' Home Journal account. But, and two last things. Ideally, they don't have really detectable bias, but that's not always true. Sometimes they do have bias. So that's not your fault. But, and the last one is, there are some really short academic articles that are just quick summaries. So but for your 5 that you're going to use in your final paper, your 5 minimum, make sure each one of those 5 is at least 5 pages long. Because I want you to have some practice reading those more complex, at least 5 pages long journal articles. Some of them will be 25 pages. That's probably a kind of an average length kind of thing. So some of you are looking at me like, it's summer, you expect me to do that? So let me tell you next then the reading process. And now that you've found an article that might be good to use, let me tell you how in the reading process you can save time again and make it so much easier and more useful. So first thing is, say you do a search, you come up with this article, you read the title, you're like, oh, sounds good. Okay, well, read a little bit more of it before you invest too much time. If it has an abstract, is that not on my list? That's on my list, I just didn't say it. A lot of times, academic articles have an abstract. If it has that little summary, read that and make sure it's what you're looking for. And then just start skimming down through the article and make sure it's what you're looking for. What if you're looking up some medical thing and you read this thing and you read the abstract and it's exactly what you want, and then the whole thing is all these symbols that you don't even understand. Is that a good article?
No.
Not for you. You're not gonna get anything out of it. So skip it and go find something good. Don't waste your time on things you can't even understand. So step one, after you find one, skim. Okay, read the abstract, skim, and evaluate and decide whether it's any of any use to you. Once you decide that it is useful to you, do two things. First, send yourself a permalink to the audience, to the article. Do you know what a permalink is?
Yeah.
Because if you just do a search and it comes up, like the URL, the web address to get there is going to be really long. It'll have percentages and it'll probably say session manager and stuff. And what that is, it's a cookie, which means it's a temporary link to that thing. And if you go search for that on another computer, or you come back in 2 weeks and try and search, that cookie won't work because it's expired. Cookies are temporary little information holders when you're surfing the web. And so when you go to the actual article in the UView database, down the right side there are a bunch of buttons. And depending on how you have it expanded or contracted, it might have a little, kind of a paperclippy looking button, kind of an angular thing. And next to it, it'll say permalink. Or if it doesn't have any words next to each of those buttons, mouse over it and maybe it'll pop up and say permalink. And you click that, and all of a sudden, right above the article, it pops up with this little shorter URL without percentage signs. It doesn't say session manager. It probably says direct equals true as part of it. Save that link for yourself, because that will work forever. Now, if you sign in off campus, you might have to sign in with your UVID and stuff to access it, but that will work forever. And that's also an assignment due for Thursday, is find some article on your topic that you might use and get the permalink and submit that on Canvas, just so I know that you know how to do that. So even if you don't end up using the article in your paper, no problem. I just wanted to make sure you know how to do a permalink. So find the article, read the abstract, skim it, and as soon as you know you want to look at it more closely, send yourself that permalink. Email it to yourself or whatever, so that you can find your article. So many students, this used to happen all the time. End of the semester, they're doing their bibliography and they have to go look up their papers again, their articles, and they can't find them anymore. It's weird, you've got it right there and you can't find it. It's frustrating. So send yourself a permalink so that it does not happen to you. And then print it out. Print out the article. Or at least send yourself a PDF. Now print it out. Because what are we on? Abstract, skim, permalink, print. Your next step is you're going to skim through the whole article, and every paragraph, every section that has nothing to do with your research question, cross it out and never read it again. If you know it's not for you, why waste your time? And crossing it out will help immensely. Now, once you've gone through that, now you're down to your last step. You're going to read the rest of it in a little more detail, and you will annotate it. What does it mean to annotate? Yeah, write notes. You've probably been trained to underline or highlight or something, and that's nice, but annotating makes that like 5 or 10 times more effective. So if you see something and you underline it, write a note why you underlined it. Good proof. This talks about my main claim. Good quote. Okay? Or this is dubious, or I don't understand this, or this contradicts what that other article found, contradiction to show that complexity. So make those little notes. This does 2 primary things for you. Number 1 is if you're writing as you're reading this stuff, suddenly now it's a 2-way conversation kind of. It's not just you have to absorb all this information that the holy PhDs wrote. Suddenly it's you saying, this is really boring. This is really insightful. Oh, this is meaningful to me. And suddenly it becomes interactive. And that's the first thing that makes it more interesting than you'd expect to read these dense academic articles. The second thing it does for you, and this is maybe more important, is when you go to write your paper and you go back to your articles to find the quotes, the statistics, and whatever you want to use, you'll find them quick. If you just underlined a bunch of stuff, you have to sort through all that. So it's a huge time saver to do an extra step. Just like it's a big time saver to let the grass dry before you mow it. Don't be stupid. Follow the reading process. Save yourself time. Make it more helpful for you. Okay? Does that make sense? Does that seem like a good idea? Does it seem like it'll make it actually more interesting to read those things? Okay, good. Let me decide what to tell you next. Is all this sinking into your head okay? Anybody starting to burn out with information yet? Doing good?
Keep up.
Okay, awesome. All right, let me tell you this. This is the next logical thing. I think next time is due a paper, the writing history paper. It's a really easy one to write. It's one of the 2 easiest papers all semester. Remember the brainstorm we did at the start of class where you wrote down your past English experience and what you researched and what you hope to get out of from English 2010? That's your writing history paper. Just tell me at least like half a dozen points about that. The main purpose of that paper is I need to get a sense of what kind of writers you are. How well do you organize your ideas? How well do you know? So try and do a good job, but it's basically your subjective opinion on stuff, plus a few facts about like what you researched before. So pretty easy, it doesn't take any research.
So say again, the writing history paper is a half a dozen points
on your past writing experience, what was good, what was bad, what you learned, what you didn't. And then tell me your research topics you researched in the past, and tell me what you hope to get from English 2010. And if you go to Canvas and click on that assignment, it's all right there.
So all these things are due or right on Canvas?
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, what I would do, like log into Canvas, click on Syllabus, and bookmark that in your browser. Because if you go to the bottom of the syllabus page, it has all the assignments in chronological order. That's the quickest way to see what's due next and what's coming up. So I would bookmark that. I would go to the discussions area too and bookmark that. Because Canvas is a little bit slow, right? You click and you have to wait for a few seconds sometimes. So bookmark them so you go straight there. You're more likely to check them out. And that discussion area, I mean, I'll post useful things now and then. But it's largely for you guys. You got a question, ask each other. You know, you want some feedback on your paper, ask each other. I hope you'll take advantage of that because you'll find there a lot of good
These
feedback.
videos, are they on there as well?
They are on. You know, on the top of the syllabus, I have this URL, uoflife.com/uvu, so it's listed there. And I post a few of them to Canvas as well. But so that's the writing history paper, really easy. The next paper that's due in a week or 2 or something is called the Rhetorical Analysis paper. And in that one, what you do is you take this academic article, you annotate it, and to put it really simply, we'll go into this more detail next time, but to put it really simply, you'll critique it. You'll say, they did this good, they did this bad. I'll give you a little bit more specific, like what I want you to look for to critique it. And by the way, there are 2 rhetorical analysis papers because there's some 2 super useful skills you learn in that. And if you don't get it right the first time, I'll give you a chance to do it right the second time. But especially being summer on our condensed schedule, if you get the first one perfect, if you totally nail it, knock it out of the park, and you get the full 25 points, I will automatically give you 25 points on the second one. You don't have to write the second one. So please aim for that the first time. And I've got a video that's like very comprehensive explanation of that, of what rhetorical analysis is online also. So I just wanted to mention that now, rhetorical analysis, to remind you that as you're annotating this article that you find, that's another good idea of kind of notes to watch for. You know, what makes sense, what doesn't, what's interesting, what's not, what reflects well on the author. Does anyone know what I'm talking about, these 3 things? What are the words you've heard for that? What?
Is it just a response paper?
I'm sure it has different names and stuff, but rhetoric, do you know what rhetoric is? How many of you have heard that term, rhetoric? How many have a pretty clear idea of what rhetoric means? Okay, that's pretty good actually to have 2 of you. It's one of those terms that English teachers like to throw around and assume everybody knows, but but nobody really does. To put it short, succinctly, we'll go into more detail next time, it's the art of communication. How you present the message tailored to the reader or the listener, and how the author's interaction with it affects how the reader, listener receives it. The art of communication. So the Greeks invented it. So we'll go into that more detail. But anyway, wanted to point that out so you know what to kind of annotate in your paper. So there's the research process and the reading process. Can you tell already that this will save you time? It'll simplify things down. Oh, let me tell you there's something I left out of the research process. Super important, really, really helpful. If you have a topic and you go to research it, you're in trouble. Doesn't make sense, huh? What I mean is, instead of just a topic, you would better have a research question. It makes a big difference. If you're going to research ageism, and you go and you type that into the database, you're going to come up with a lot of papers on ageism. But they'll be all different aspects. It's like the guy who went to the library and said, where can I find something on the Civil War? And he's like, I've got to write a 6-page paper. And the librarian says, well, which part of the Civil War? Oh, it's just the whole thing. It's super broad. So by having a research question, in other words, what do you want to find out? It helps guide you more specifically within your topic, your broad topic. So when you search for your articles, you can quickly recognize, does this answer my question? No, well then don't waste your time. Does it answer your question? Well, part of it, oh great, use that. Research question also does something else really well. As you write your paper, if you're really aware of your research question, as you write your paper out, it helps you to avoid your own bias. Sometimes you go in and you say, I'm going to write about the Civil War, I know all about it, and you write it, but you weren't really looking for something, and so you didn't find other opinions and other facets. So having a research question is good. So there's the quick explanation of that. I have one more process I'll teach you about next time, and this is the one I promised at the beginning of class. Well, it's another one that will save you lots of time and make everything easier. But for now, let's go ahead and hand out the syllabus. Pass those around. Pass any extras back up. Pass those sideways too. Oh. No extras there. Send more of that side of the room in the back.
So 5,000 for A+?
Yes, if you get 5,000 points, I'll talk to the president and the provost and see if we can make A+ a possibility at Utah Valley University. Thanks. So on the top, there's our class, there's me, just call me Sean, there's my email address, you can use that anytime you want to get a hold of me. It's a little bit quicker to use my email than to contact me in Canvas, but if it's not urgent at all, go ahead and just message me in Canvas, that's fine. The text is either edition of this book, From Inquiry to Academic Writing. Yeah, either one's fine. I was told, like last 2 semesters, people were buying this one version for $4 over there at Wolverine Crossing. Is it gone? Okay, and there was some other place above campus that sold used books. You checked, you know
Book
about that?
Exchange, they don't have it, they own the book.
They
Book
only have this
Exchange
one?
and Wolverine Crossings, Wolverine Books have this one and they're at about $50.
Bookbites.com, B-Y-T-E-S.
Or bookstores, they only have, these are $50.
Okay. All right, well, that's too bad. If you order them online, sometimes they take 2 or 3 weeks to arrive, and some of your chapters are due before that. So I kind of discourage that. If you can get something with 2-day shipping, for example, how many of you have Amazon Students? Okay, if you don't, there's a link to it on the discussion area in the discussion forum. You get free 2-day shipping on stuff. And isn't it free to sign up for Amazon Student? At least
6 months.
for 6 months,
Yeah.
kind of thing? Okay, yeah, that's it. So that would help. But they'll have a copy or 2 of these in the library in the writing center, and where else? The women's center, I think, in the student center has one. So you can check them out on reserve. You can't take them out of the library, but if you have an emergency, or talk to some classmates, you can borrow from each other. And then here are the class resources. There's Canvas. There's also uoflife.com/writing. But go to uoflife.com/UVU first. That's where I've got this page that you can't see, thanks to our functional projector, with a bunch of resources, more specific. And I'll keep updating that. Okay, course objectives. I think you've got a pretty good sense of that already. Research topics, you've got a good sense of that. Assignments. 250 points are for attendance and participation. So that makes it worth, I think, 14 points per class period, just showing up. And the main way you can lose points there is if you're like texting all the time or not really here, right? So it doesn't look like that's going to be a problem in class. Computers are fine in class. In fact, let me get your attention, those of you who are using computers, to make sure you know. Computers are fine in class for taking notes, but please don't use them to be distracted and out of the conversation and stuff, because we'll miss your input. And we all think we can multitask like crazy. You know better than that now, right? New research, you only think one thought at a time. So please no Facebook and chatting.